bringing you some introspect into what happened and what was recorded this week. First of all, we have NPP flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's residence violence attack that happened on Sunday, November 13. And now we move outside of Accra. In the Bono Afo region, gunmen attack NPP candidate for Esunafo South. That's a story I just read where 2 injured in that very issue that happened on Thursday, November 17. And meanwhile, in September, the EC indefinitely suspended the transfer of votes in that same constituency following an attack on its district office at Kukum that led to the destruction of electoral materials. Now, early on in that month, machete-wielding thugs stormed the NPP office at Kukum, where they destroyed office equipment as a result of disturbances during the voter transfer exercise. Now, very soon we will be speaking to Nana Akwada. He is he's Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. Hello, Nana.
Hi, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Now, should the police be anticipating such incidences, or they're losing grip of what exactly is happening now?
Well, let me say a very good afternoon to your viewers. And just before I answer that question of the police, whether they should be up and doing, there are a couple of things that need to be addressed. We must understand that in the political season, for robbers and armed robbers, they find party bigwigs really a very useful target, because it is around this time that party bigwigs get to carry cash and all other items. So they find them as a very useful target. In that breath, it's important that in reporting some of these attacks, we are able to report accurately, or we should exercise some form of discretion instead of going out to say suspected so and so party attacks this, or suspected so and so attacks this. We must exercise a lot of discretion just so we do not inflame passions unduly. And that said, we also must make the effort to get parties living in areas that the police and the Electoral Commission themselves have marked as, if you like, what we now call flashpoints. We must get those places brought together, the parties in these places brought together to foster some form of cohesion and peace building to avoid these attacks in the run-up to the elections. The police must be up and doing, because if they do not step in to assure public safety, there is a high likelihood that situations may get out of hand. And I doubt if situations get out of hand, whether the police alone would have the capacity to restore calm and order. So it is very, very important that with this incident as Esunafo, the police will move in as quickly as possible. They will, as immediately as possible, get all alibis, or all people who are relevant to the investigation, and get some people behind bars and begin charging people. This should be a signal to all other areas and all other persons in other areas marked as flashpoints, or whatever zones, terminologies we want to give them, just so people will now be cautious of the fact that if I become a miscreant, or if I violate public order, the full powers of the state will be brought after me, and nobody can stand in the way of the law. Until that is done, people are going to continue to operate with such impunity in these areas.
Now, Nana, yes, you have touched a bit about miscreants taking advantage of the situation, but the political bits cannot also be taken away from it. And when I was reading those slides, I could count about 4 incidences, some in September, and also we have some in November. Now, how do we deal with this? You've mentioned some bits and pieces of it. Last week we did mention about the police also meeting with these political parties to deal with the situation. But a lasting solution to this, have members of political parties or so-called thugs within these parties understood that peace is paramount and elections should be devoid of such incidences?
Well, I think the solution to such hooliganism and vandalism, pure crimes, is simple, and we all know it. We have learned of these militia groups that are being funded by political parties. We have heard of political figures when they are moving along these campaign trails. They have bodybuilders, macho men following them here and there who are not necessarily trained by the national security apparatus, who do not have any, or who are not likely to have any proper training apart from what they have in their own, let me call it, crooked schools. It is important that we disband some of these, in fact, all of these militia groups. It is important that we demystify the use, or we stop the use of macho men in our politics, guarding our political figures, and get properly trained security officers to, bodyguard these political figures. Once we do so, we'll inject some sanctity into guarding of our political figures. Once we do so, we are going to empower even ordinary people to be able to rise up against such acts of organized vandalism and so on and so forth. But the key aspect of it is that the police must be up and doing. They must be up in their arms and ensure that nobody gets away with acts of vandalism. They must investigate each and every one of these 4 incidents that have come up. They must investigate each and every one of these thoroughly, make sure they apprehend people, make those apprehensions public, that we have apprehended XYZ and we have put them behind bars pending appearance before the law courts. Once these things are made public, other people in line will become conscious and aware of these things, and they cannot be letting their services on franchise to political parties.
Thank you very much indeed. Nana Akoda is Executive Director of the Bureau of Public Safety. All right then, Nana, we're still watching Midday Live. We have